After all these years in the limelight, you might assume there's nothing more to learn about these Hollywood legends. But even Hollywood heavyweights like Robert Redford a household name because to parts in films like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid hid shocks under their smooth exteriors. His admirers and detractors have spent countless hours trying to piece together his life story and career in order to understand the charismatic man behind the star. Redford has finally spoken up today at the age of 87. Illuminating previously concealed thoughts and feelings. Delve into these surprises as we uncover the hidden sides of a real titan of the film industry in this video. Charlie Robert Redford Jr., whose real name is Robert Redford, was born in Santa Monica, California on August 18, 1936. Redford was no exception. He overcame significant health obstacles, the most glaring of which being contracting polio when he was 11 years old. He was unwell during this time. To him, it represents the pinnacle of his life's significance. His resiliency and perspective were shaped during this period. Martha Hart Redford, Redford's mother, died at the age of 18 from complications related to septicemia, adding a second layer of sorrow to his life. His emotional growth and professional endeavors are profoundly impacted by this devastating setback, which ranks among the worst experiences of his life. Despite the early setbacks that dampened his creative and athletic side, he showed tremendous passion for the arts and athletics, which served as an escape from his personal issues. Redford started off with a baseball scholarship to Colorado University, but his problem with alcoholism got the best of him and led to his expulsion and the cancellation of his scholarship. But that didn't stop him. The obstacle just encouraged him to seek out more experiences. His journey to Europe came to a close. During this period, he gained the strength to be an artist and a new perspective on the world. When he returned to the United States, his acting career took off. He bolstered his acting career by attending New York's American Academy of Dramatic Arts. Redford became one of the greatest actors to ever grace Broadway thanks to his formative theater experiences in the 50s. Neil Simon broke through in the late 1960s with his masterwork Barefoot in the Park. He portrayed Paul Bratter, a newlywed husband, in the film. This catapulted him to stardom in the world of theater. The 1969 release of Robert Redford's cult masterpiece Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was the catalyst for Redford's initial major impact on the cinema business. Errol Flynn and Paul Newman's Butch Cassidy were a dynamic duo in the film The Sundance Kid. The chemistry between Redford and Newman was what made their relationship stand out and draw in viewers. Critics lauded their portrayal of the two endearing yet despicable characters, which propelled Redford to Hollywood superstardom. At the same period as it brought about significant changes. Redford's career-defining win with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was a watershed moment in American cinema. The legendary film's plot, which features tension, clever conversation, and an overall adventure, all bolstered by the excellent chemistry between Newman and Redford. On top of that, it showcased Redford's ability to connect with audiences, which boosted his reputation as a reliable earner for producers. A career in Hollywood was launched thanks to this film's financial success. Starting from that point on, he continued to make appearances in the great genre films of the 1970s, such as All the President's Men and The Sting. He was able to showcase his flexibility as an actor and add to his reputation with each role he played. The Sting gave Redford and Newman the opportunity to collaborate again, which helped propel their careers as on-screen heroes. The plot of this 1930s crime film revolves around a huge theft pulled off by two con artists. Redford was nominated for an Oscar for his portrayal of Johnny Hooker, a charismatic con artist who made a killing conniving people out of their money. With 7 Oscars to its name, including Best Picture, the picture became the year's second most successful box office hit, after only Titanic. Redford solidified his reputation as a major movie star with this performance. Arrival of Renu Redford on the set of the movie The Sting unintentionally delayed filming. In the most recent episode of It Happened in Hollywood, a podcast by The Hollywood Reporter that commemorated the film's half-century anniversary, Redford's talent is highlighted as one of the aspects that sets him apart in creating the show. The film turned out well, though, and Redford's tardiness to filming was the only thing holding it back. He was frequently tardy by approximately 40 minutes. Last but not least, Redford was brought to his feet by his less disciplined co-star, Newman, who had challenged him on professionalism. Throughout his entire working life, Redford's chronic tardiness to work remained an elusive adversary. For instance, Redford would often be late to the set of his 1988 picture, The Milagro Beanfield War, which he both directed and produced. The crew members who would wait for Redford till late morning were the subjects of stories told by screenwriter David S. Ward. He had no intention of informing them of the postponement. Actor Cheech Marin was one of his professional pals whose negative attitude caused him to wait days at Sundance before getting an audition. In addition to producing All the President's Men, Redford portrayed Bob Woodward in the film. So Redford established himself as an actor and producer simultaneously through his production. Bob Woodward was a real Washington Post journalist who helped uncover the Watergate scandal, and Redford played him. He had never been more serious or driven in his acting career than he was at this point. The film's realistic portrayal of history and engaging storyline earned it many praises. The fact that it took home 4 Oscars shows how important the press is to American democracy. Yet there's more, with Redford and Meryl Streep as its stars. A renowned filmmaker's epic romantic drama set in the colonial Kenya of the early 20th century took home 7 Oscars, including Best Picture. In his role as big game hunter Denise Finch Hatton, actor Redford embodied not just a spirit of adventure, optimism, and profound contemplation, but he also emerged as a Hollywood superstar. His acting chops were on display in these films, which had a profound effect on the cinematic landscape and popular culture of the period. After winning an Oscar for his performance in the picture, Hollywood began to take him seriously. Robert Redford's impact on Hollywood, especially through his directing talents, extends far beyond his on-screen persona. The picture that brought him fame was Ordinary People 1980, for which he won the Academy Award for Best Director. It was also named Best Picture at the Academy Awards. The film delves deep into the intricate dynamics of family dynamics as they navigate loss and shame. It was clear that Redford knew his way around a tale because of the sensitive and careful way he explored the emotional landscape of his characters, of which his subsequent directing endeavors were measured against. After Ordinary People became a smashing success, he continued to explore various additional facets of the subject. In the 1992 film adaptation of Norman Maclean's novella A River Runs Through It, Robert was able to bring his profound empathy for the human condition to the big screen. The film takes place in rural Montana in the early 20th century, when the town pastor keeps a close eye on his adolescent twins. The film's artistic examination of brothers' love and their lives was accompanied by breathtaking graphics. Once it was released to the public, the film became a huge hit. In 1994, he directed The Quiz Show, his next major feature film. This program also highlighted Redford's other side, his devotion to complex moral dilemmas. On screen, Redford depicts the real-life events surrounding quiz show scandals in the 1950s and examines how the star's greed and stardom drove them to engage in a great deal of wrongdoing behind the scenes. Quiz Show was not only nominated for Best Director but also received positive reviews from critics. Robert Redford has shown profound contemplation and introspection at the age of 87 by publicly expressing his thoughts on his encounters with celebrity, the decisions he made throughout his career, and his personal life. Redford recently discussed the drawbacks of fame in an interview, stating that while fame does have its advantages, it also comes with the loss of privacy and identity. Notably, renowned actor Robert Redford never views his own films, which is quite intriguing. He spoke about his rough upbringing in a 2015 interview with Today, when he and his pals would mock movies and he couldn't shake the mental image of himself in the audience, making fun of his own performance. He stays away from his own work because he is uncomfortable seeing himself on screen. The risks of idolizing famous people are something that Redford has also addressed. According to his 3-stage model of success, one must first become an object to other people, then start to perceive themselves as an object, and last, if one is not cautious, lose all sense of self in this objectified identity. During a conversation with his grandson Walker, he stressed the need of modesty. Redford reflected on his meteoric climb to stardom with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, recalling how he was wary of becoming a star in his own right after experiencing the unexpected acclaim. In order to keep his celebrity status in check and prevent it from influencing his character or outlook, he detailed the steps he took to develop a personal strategy. Although Robert Redford's career has been rather eventful, his personal life has been far more so. With his 1958 marriage to Lola Van Wagenen, Redford is a father of 4. Tragedies and joys abound in his family life, which profoundly affected his life and work. Scott, Redford's first kid, died from sudden infant death syndrome (SIDS) not long after his birth, and the tragedy haunted him ever since. Despite this, a strong will to overcome adversity and an outlook on life that values the individual above all else were born from this early loss. Another setback befell him in 2020. James, his son, died of bile duct cancer when he was 58 years old. Cindy Berger, a representative for Redford, said that the family sought privacy while they were going through a difficult period. Jamie was a loving son, husband, and dad, according to Berger. He lived on via his offspring, his creative endeavors, his cinematic works, and his dedication to protecting the environment. James' untimely demise had its origins in his early years. The director James Redford was diagnosed with primary sclerosing cholangitis, an extremely rare autoimmune liver disease, after battling liver-related health issues since childhood. In 1993, following a pair of liver transplants, to further his goal of raising public awareness on organ and tissue donation, he established the James Redford Institute for Transplant Awareness. He and his father founded the Redford Center in 2005 to support filmmakers who focus on environmental issues in their films. After James passes away, his 2 children and 32-year wife Kyle will take over. The people that stood by his side the most were Dylan and Lena. Redford, who is famous for his roles in films, tried to keep his children out of the spotlight by sending them to regular schools and keeping them away from other famous people. Throughout his filmography, he has favorite themes centered on family life, and this pic reflects that. He often brought up the fact that he had to juggle his acting and directing duties in order to keep his family happy. He wed his long-standing companion Sybil Zagers 6 years after divorcing Van Wagenen in 1985. In the time after, he removed himself from the limelight to devote himself fully to his family. Redford said that being a trustworthy parent and a good father was his top priority in life. Tragically, Robert had to deal with more than only the loss of his boys. In addition to his parents, he also lost his adored uncle. For him, this was a really trying period. Even in his films, which frequently deal with topics like grief, healing, and the fragility of human life, the deaths of so many characters are palpable. It was released in 1981. Robert Redford founded the Sundance Institute, which included the Sundance Film Festival, to give indie filmmakers a platform to show their work apart from the commercial constraints of major studios. Park City, Utah is home to Sundance, which quickly became an integral part of the film industry. In an effort to promote cinematic expression without censorship, Redford had the idea for the festival. Even as a director, he had dabbled in unusual projects that failed to garner the favor of Hollywood's elite. So Sundance became his means of providing assistance to those in a similar situation. By exposing indie cinema to a larger audience, Sundance has grown into the biggest independent film festival in America. This has a major impact on the international film industry. Sundance has catapulted a plethora of indie filmmakers to stardom, and its influence on the industry is immense. Some of the directors whose careers were greatly boosted by the festival's screening of Reservoir Dogs include Quentin Tarantino and Steven Soderbergh, respectively. Soderbergh's 1989 first movie Sex, Lies, and Videotape was honored with the Audience Award. These achievements highlight Sundance's function in showcasing and assisting independent filmmakers whose efforts may otherwise be overlooked by more established studios. The festival is a strong advocate for both narrative and documentary cinema. An Inconvenient Truth and The Code are just 2 of the many documentaries that have used it to delve into difficult topics. These films were huge hits at the festival and beyond, making waves in popular culture and breaking barriers in the entertainment industry. By highlighting the importance of artistic integrity and creative independence, Redford has unquestionably contributed to modern cinema with the support of Sundance. A new wave of fearless filmmakers has emerged, inspired by the festival's many perspectives and tales, ready to dream large and test the boundaries of storytelling. Numerous accolades have been bestowed upon Robert Redford for his work as an activist, actor, and champion for issues such as Native American rights, environmental protection, and political change. He has brought attention to some issues through his activism, and public policy has changed as a result. In the 1970s, Redford began actively supporting environmental causes. Through his public position, he advocated for conservation and renewable energy. He was an outspoken supporter of the anti-nuclear campaign and a key figure in the public's opposition to the California nuclear power station's construction. He was instrumental in the establishment of new, more stringent laws on nuclear power and other renewable energy sources. However, he is not done yet. Redford has been an ardent supporter of Native American independence and cultural preservation throughout his life. Among his many endeavors in support of Native American arts and education is his role in establishing New Mexico's Native American Preparatory School, an effort to better the educational opportunities available to Native American students. Also noteworthy is Redford's political engagement, particularly his support for environmental legislation. Multiple times he has been summoned to appear before the U.S. Congress to provide testimony on matters pertaining to climate change and environmental preservation. Many important laws meant to safeguard endangered species and regulate industrial pollution were enacted in large part because of his work. On top of that, he took advantage of his position to advocate against the Keystone XL project, saying it would have devastating environmental consequences. A nationwide awareness campaign spearheaded by his campaigning was instrumental in ending the project. Robert Redford has made good use of his celebrity to advocate for a sustainable future, the rights of indigenous people, and accountable leadership via his documentaries, speeches, and increased involvement with policymakers. His dogged pursuits have been a major impetus for shifts in both public policy theory and practice, and they have also raised public awareness. Recent interviews with Robert Redford have revealed details about his activism, Hollywood career, and desired legacy. A man who has lived through many environmental and cultural shifts in the previous several decades lets his inner ideas shine through in these introspective writings. A blessing and a curse, Redford freely admits, has been his career throughout his life. As he put it, the feeling of being a star is very hard sometimes, but the true privilege is having the chance to make a difference. It was Redford's advocacy, not his acting, that he aspired to be revered for. In a statement that emphasized his role in establishing Sundance and its impact on independent cinema, he stated his desire to be remembered as someone who continued studying and teaching in addition to playing. He truly embodied a pivotal moment in cinematic history with his dedication to promoting fresh talent and bolstering experimental filmmaking. By saying, "Every role was a chapter in my life," Redford revealed some wisdom about embracing the parts that molded his early career. Modify the screenplay. Last, Redford exuded a calm and collected demeanor when talking about death and aging. With the passage of time, I have gained insight and the maturity to accept that there are some things I cannot alter. This philosophical humility says a lot about his transformation from a Hollywood star to an influential cultural and environmental activist. Even while he still plays a significant role in Hollywood and environmental activism, Robert Redford now chooses to keep a low profile. I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Watch the next video that appears on your screen if you're prepared to be amazed once again.